There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah, You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
We are here. You are welcome here. Take a deep breath in with me and know that you are here. Right here, right now. God is, the divine is, love is, truth is, joy is, gratitude is. Not only you here is right now, and you are right now. Thank you, my brother, John Stringer. You are welcome here. To find out more about him, go to his website, George Stringer, whoever George is. I'm sure it's probably George Stringer out there. JohnStringerInc.com. I know why the George thing happened. It's because I did it other way around. But anyway, you may catch it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you. Wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're going through, whatever you're growing through, I am affirming you. I'm speaking good into your life. I am speaking blessings to bless someone and to speak good into their lives. So whatever you're growing through and going through, I call it good. Even if you're not feeling it, I'll hold a vision for you. Thank you for taking the time to tune into yourself first, and then listening. When you tune in and listen, you give yourself permission to be transformed. This is the house of love, so you can just let it all hang out. This is where we get a makeover, if you will. You can feel free to express yourself. Feel free to withhold yourself. The choice is yours. I just say come as you are. I am Ade, your transformational agent, your beingness artist. That's right. I help you in creating what you're trying to birth. I'm your spiritual doula. I've never used that nickname before, but I kind of like it. Like, breathe, you got this. It's all right. Hold my hand, squeeze. I can't change. Yes, you can. Breathe. As a matter of fact, you just show up and life will change you for you. No matter how much you resist it, life is like, I got this. I'm going to take you through changes. Welcome to another episode of Ade Presents Being You. The journey back to yourself. Season 2, episode 29. Today's Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. It's my anniversary. Hello, Zima. Zima Love Fire. Nice to see you. It's my anniversary. This is the day, exactly today, was the day when I knew it was time to start my ministry, my love ministry. I know y'all are talking about, what is he talking about? Well, you know how Jesus went away for 40 days and 40 nights and he fasted? And then after that, when he faced himself, they call it the devil, but his ego self that was tempting him to tempt God. And it's like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I trust in God. I trust in love. And after that 40 days and 40 nights, Jesus said, it's time to start my love ministry. Well, today, 2 years ago, was when I arrived in UK, somewhat unwillingly. But, you know, sometimes when you're called, you're like, I'm not ready yet. God, do you know what you're doing? And God said, trust me. I've been doing this before you, and I'm going to do it after you. I'm like, why don't you just inform me of your plan? Well, if I tell you my plan, you're going to mess it up because you're trying to move things around. Boy, was it a surprise. I was shocked, but I can tell you that I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing, God. I see it. So yeah, 2 years back in UK. I'm grateful for all the experiences, the sadness, the grieving, the joy, the successes, the new friends and all. So feel free to wish me happy anniversary to want to. Actually, go ahead and do it. I'll wait. Thank you, Zima Love Fire. Well, I want to invite you to join us in our main page for Being You Podcast, facebook.com/BeingYouPodcast. Make sure you like it and share it because we're growing that community. And there will be some things that happen in there that doesn't happen on my profile page. So just be aware. You don't have to do anything. Do it because your spirit is guiding you to do it. You know, I'm part of the people who are creating a world that works for everyone. And I've been thinking about that. When we talk about a world that works for everyone, if you just sit with that for a minute, it's kind of scary. When we say it, we feel the essence. I know I do. Feel the essence of, I want to be a part of a world that works for everyone. And then when you ask yourself, what does that mean? Whoa, wait. For him to? For her? I don't know. And anytime you ostracize, you other somebody else outside of a world that works for everyone, you're kicking yourself out of that world. We are on a love quest, which is what the quest of belonging is about. I have my guest, my sister, my friend, myself, Tani here. I am so excited. We've never done it before. We've done it before, but we just did it behind the scenes. Now we're about to do it. We got to come out the closet and do it together. Oh, I am a mess and I love me completely and totally. While we do that, I am inviting you to take this moment to take a look at how you see yourself. Like in this moment, just take a few moments to think, how do I see myself? How do you see the world? How do you see yourself in the world? And how do you see the world in you? If you're on a quest for belonging, these questions will reveal, or this thought, should I say, will reveal so much to you. How do you see yourself? How do you see the world? How do you see yourself in the world? And how do you see the world in you? So part of belonging, the faith walker. Oh, nice to see you, my dear sister. Welcome, welcome. Yes, Zimmer, I know. I was shocked. Zimmer said we were all shocked. I was shocked. It's like, wait. But you know, with every destruction comes creation. With every death, there is a renewal. There's a birth. I want to welcome all of you in the chat room. Quali is in the house, always the first in the room. Well, most of the time. Tina is in the room. New Jace is in the room. Linda, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Have you meditated today? And while you're wishing me a happy anniversary, also send some love to Leslie. This is Leslie's first time producing with me. And so she's going solo. Thank you, Coke. Yes, it's my anniversary. Now, my singing voice is not ready right now because I'm thinking of the Tony Tone song. I can't get that note right now. I'm too hyped. But yes, just welcome Leslie. Show her some love. Beautiful sister. And I just love how she's showing up. And we keep growing and keep going. Life happens. Nice to know that you've meditated, Linda. Well done. All right, let's see. There's so much more I can tell you. Right, isn't it? How do you see yourself? How do you see the world? How do you see the world? See yourself in the world and the world in you. There's so much to share, but I really want to bring myself. Oh, it's 1:11 in Atlanta, but it's 1:11 somewhere. It's 6:11 here, which is still works. What do I want to tell you? Any announcements? I don't think I have any. So let me read the bio of my dear sister. But before I do that, I just want you to kind of think about your journey, your life experience. Where are you on your quest to belonging? How are you showing up for others who are seeking to belong with you? Or maybe they're seeking not to belong with you, because not wanting to belong and belonging is all part of belonging. There is a part of us that feels like, I don't want to be part of that, or I want to be part of that. This is where I feel safe. Just kind of ponder that. Maybe even ask yourself, how do you treat people that we as a society, people who don't have homes, and we call them homeless? When you see someone you call homeless, which is really just people without homes and not the homeless, the things we do. How do you treat young people who are skateboarding or doing things in the street that maybe you did when you were younger, but then you say, well, we weren't that bad. But kids of nowadays, shut it up. If you're saying we're not that bad, you're bad, period. If you think they're bad and you weren't that bad, there's a commonness in there. You know, how do you treat young people, the teenagers, your teenagers? How do you treat the people that you consider to be sick? The ones we call strange, the ones we call weirdos. It tells us a lot about ourselves when we look at how we be with others or how we don't want to be with them. This journey, man, is a collective journey. You're an individual, and in the spiritual community, we say, you don't need anybody but yourself. That's true. but you are never going to say to your head, you don't need the rest of your body parts but the head. No, the head needs the legs needs the arm, because they work together. Don't ostracize yourself. We're going to delve in and share more. And I'm ready to bring my sister on. I know she's like, come on, Ade, let me in. I want to play. Let me in. Come on. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Coke Tani. Coke Colleen Tani. She's a writer. She's a producer. She's actually a producer. That just came out. I know she is. She didn't put it in the bio, but she is. She's a writer, dancer, spiritual companion, and a certified interplay leader. In early years, she was a clinical social worker, solo theater artist, and a recipient of the Creative Writing Fellowship from Penn Center USA, an international literary and human rights organization. She lives with her partner and their kitty. What's your kitty's name? In Alameda, and is currently Alameda, California, that is, and is currently working on her first book. Her website address is coketani.com, COKETANI, like the drink, not the other thing, okay? But if that helps you remember, we don't really care how you remember. Just know that it's coketani.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and friends, that's new, boys and girls, psychics and skeptics, physical beings and non-physical beings, help me welcome my sister, my friend, myself, Coke Tani. Hey! We did an applause.
Yay! Hi, everybody. Thank you.
It is so good to have you here.
Oh, I feel like we're always with each other, and we're just happen to be visible right now.
Yes, indeed. We get to share our experience with others, which is what it's all about, really. A gift is not a gift until you give it away.
And until you're willing to receive it.
Oh, I like that. I'm still there. Start using it as if I came up with it, because that's it. If you're not willing to give it, you can't receive it. That's true. You know. See, you there you go again. You got me thinking. You got me going places. But I'm going to stick to my notes. No, I won't. But there's some things I need to do at the beginning. Welcome to Ade Presents Being You. And I am really just excited about where we're going to go and what's going to unfold, what we're going to create. So on Ade Presents Being You, there's a lot of emphasis, that you can tell by the name, on who we are, how we're living, how we see in the world. And we all have a soul signature. It is our names. Our name, I believe, is a soul signature. It anchors us in our heritage. It reminds us of our own nature. And every name has a meaning. Whether it was made up or it was given to us, a spiritual name, there is a vibration to the names that we give ourselves, that we accept, that we wear. So with that, can you tell us what Coke Colleen Tani means, or what it means to you? Or if you want to share your whole name, fine. If it's just one or two, that's fine. First middle name-ish, middle name.
Yeah, sure. My given name, Colleen Tani. I don't know how I ended up with an Irish first name, but I did. I have zero Irish blood in me, but my parents must have really liked.
So you think? But go ahead.
Yeah, right. I'm learning. I'm gonna spit in the tube, and I'm gonna find out.
Right.
My cousin found out more about me than I knew, and I know there's more to come. So yeah, Colleen means valley. Oh no, Colleen means girl. Sorry, Colleen means girl. A Colleen. And then Tani in Japanese means valley. So back in the day, I used to joke about, when the whole thing around the Valley Girl.
Right. I was already there.
Right. And when I was growing up, my whole immediate and extended family used to call me Coco. And then kind of when I got like to junior high, I was like, oh, Coco kind of sounds babyish. So let's go with Coke. Not knowing, right? Oh my goodness. Double, triple meanings for that word. And it kind of stuck. I miss cocoa, but there's a valley in me somewhere. There's the feminine in me somewhere. The signature of the divine feminine, I hope, is in all of us. And yeah, what a fascinating way to kind of consider one to yourself is like to anchor in your name.
Yeah. Because it's easily taken for granted, and especially people like me who Nigerian heritage, where when people say, "What's your name? How do you pronounce your name?" and I say Ade, and then Ade, or sometimes I'm like, "Is that how I said it?" Because it sounds different. And I've gone to a place now, especially I used to be a name snob, and that happened when I was living in America. So when I ask people what their name means, they're like, "I don't know. It doesn't have a meaning." I'm like, how can you have a name that doesn't have a meaning?
Wow.
My name is the combination of my mom and dad's name. I'm like, that does not make it. I was a snob, because in Nigeria, every name has a meaning.
Yeah.
There's a story to it. Ade means crown. It's my
I was
logo.
just going to ask you. Yeah.
It means crown. Actually, my first name is Ademola. Ademola is Ademola. Only 2 people in the world calls me by that. Thank God. Well, actually, no, I don't mean it like that. The 2 people that call me, well, one is Nigerian and the other one is American. I've kind of grown into how she says it, but there's nothing like your name the way it sounds. So when people are not pronouncing it correctly, it feels kind of like,
Yeah.
But, I went through my journey of being a name snob. And then eventually I caught up with myself and saying, what do you mean telling people their name doesn't have a meaning? That don't make any sense. You don't even say your name correctly, because I say Ade, which is not the right pronunciation.
Right.
But that's the acceptable pronunciation for people in the Western world. The right pronunciation is Ademola, Ade. So when people in UK, America, they try to say Ade, they're like, Ade. I'm like, don't put so much emphasis on it. Ade. I'm like, stop. Just stop it, because you're making me scared of my own name. It's like, so.
And then your last name? Does your last name? What is the meaning?
Last name is Ani Fowoshe. Ani Fowoshe. Now, here's the thing. I don't joke. I was going to say that I joke that money has been one of my greatest teacher, and it's true. My first name actually means literally it means wealthy crown, which is really a wealthy king. Ani Fowoshe means one with money. My definition, to make it easier, one with money and knows what to do with it. So with my first name and my last name, I'm all caught up in money. Money is like, let me see if you know what to do with me. I'm like, I do. Please come in. No, not ready yet. I'm learning to live into my name.
I need to get under that crown a little myself here.
Get under that crown. I always present it to my guests. Like, they can wear my crown for a moment. I like the way you moved.
But you bring up such an amazing point. Like, I don't mean to disrupt your introductory remarks. But when you said when you lived in the U.S. and like people were like not knowing the meaning of their names.
Oh, can't see.
And I think that's not like that's a funny thing, but I really think like what kind of homesickness comes with that? And if you don't know the meaning of your name, or you don't think your name has a meaning, if you can't trace it back, if you can't locate yourself, what is that like? What then happens to your quest to belong, right? And I'm so grateful you brought up this theme, because everything I've been thinking about lately is, belonging here, belonging there, belonging there. And belonging seems like when we don't have it, we're deeply homesick.
Yes. Yes.
It's like
I feel like
something.
orphans.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for bringing up the part about American names, Americans and names.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm thinking maybe, perhaps white Americans and names and a disconnect. So who knows?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
White
Yeah.
Americans will say to you, white British too, will say, especially around ancestors. I don't have an ancestors. Now there are more white people who are starting to embrace that idea. So when you can't trace your heritage, your roots, or you feel like that you are the only one, you are going to feel like the only one. That's not good or bad, but there's something in knowing that you're part of something. Yes, you're part of something deeper, something that you're part of an invisible realm that you can't really grasp with your mind. But there's a part of you that is alive, that lived before you manifested in this physical body. And what is that like? And for me, that's my quest of really understanding the invisible, because the more I allow myself to go into that place, what I can remember, and allow myself to lean into the mystery of it, I find my routine, my grounding. I find clarity. It gives me permission to be a little bit more easy with myself. And because we are taught, like, you do A and you get to B, and then if you do it well, you get to C. But there is a distance between A and B. We don't talk about the distance between A and B. I just need something to get me from A to B. Well, yes, that's easy. What about the in between? And I feel like a spiritual path is really about that. Finding out, discovering what's between A and B before we go to C.
Yeah. And you were saying too, you feel most rooted and grounded when you remember you are.
When I remember that I'm part of life, part of something that happened way before today, before I became a physical being, that I have, just as simple as I have grandparents. They're no longer here, but I think I only remember my grandmothers on both sides. Grandfathers, I don't, but they lived. Then their great grandparents, their great great grandparents, there's great 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 great. They lived before me. Wow. How did they walk this earth? What were they thinking about?
Yeah.
Did they struggle? What kind of pain did they go through? Did they understand what life is about? And is the life that I'm living now part of what they didn't complete or what they were clear about?
Yes. Yes. So almost like, what does your walk here belong to? Right? What is the bigger? What does?
I love you. Say that again. Say that again. Oh, wait. Let me just tell you, because I want to focus. I love what you just said. If you're on Instagram, you can see, because somebody said I can't see her, and I thought she said I can't hear her. On Facebook, if you go to Facebook /BEingYouPodcast, you can see her there, or go on YouTube, which is, when you go to my YouTube channel, is Life Conversations Media. Go there, or Facebook, Being You Podcast page. Okay. I love what you just said. Go on. Let me just take it all in.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering, and I love, this is one of my favorite things to do, Ade, is to wonder with you.
Yes.
About, like, what does our walk in contemporary present, like Chronos time, what does it belong to? What is it? Where is its belonging? Where is it situated? You know, what's its invisible parts? And how does it inform our walk? How does it support it? How does it challenge it?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know my any of my grandparents, and so I appreciate this increasing practice of land acknowledgement and also ancestor, kind of calling in the ancestors. And I find like in this dance chapel that I lead each week, like when I invite people to call in ancestors, I find myself saying, we have ancestors of so many streams. You know, we have blood ancestors, whether you can name them or not. You know, we have cultural ancestors. We have gender ancestors. We've got spiritual, religious ancestors. We've got creative ancestors. You know, we've got ancestors in terms of affection and sexual orientation. We've got like all these streams, right? Feeding our walk. And so I'm so grateful because your question helps me to ask, like, what do I plug into?
Yeah.
What do I plug into?
Yeah. It's those kind of questions are more internal. And yes, it is necessary to belong to a community, an organization, a political party, a race, sexual orientation, what all those things that it's important. It's part of this journey. But the other, as you said earlier, it's like when we're going through a challenge, a struggle, feeling pain, what if part of the challenge, the struggle, the pain we're feeling, it's the invisible part that wants to be seen and acknowledged. So there are those of us who are called the black sheep, right? There are those of us who they say the name in a family reunion and go, you know how she is. You know, maybe we're the ones and not better than others, but maybe we're the one carrying the invisible, because invisible, everything that is invisible always wants to be seen. That's what this journey is about. We are making God, making love, making truth visible through our thoughts, our words, and action. But in a world where we're told you have to achieve this and do this, get married, have children, and blah, 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 and all that other crap, we feel like if we're not doing it the way they said it should be done, then there's something wrong with us. But maybe if we are the ones, whoever the ones are, the ones living the life that is contrary to what they said, maybe we can be a little bit more compassionate with ourselves.
Yeah.
That's wow. Go ahead.
I'm so grateful that you bring up that, you know, sort of the spiritual realm, the invisible realm, because as I've been thinking about the quest for belonging, I've been thinking of it spiritually and then socially, you know, kind of communally, how vulnerable it is to want to belong, you know, and then what sometimes is required of us in order to belong. And then the sort of this internal sense of how do we belong to ourselves? You know, how do we know we belong within a pocket of the divine within ourselves? And that's always a challenge for me. You know, I'm kind of operate more comfortably on the first two levels, but when it comes to, wow, you know, Coke, you belong right here. Like you're sufficient. You belong to, you tune in, you know, you don't otherize yourself from yourself.
Right.
Yeah. So,
something you just said that it's like when I try and grab the thought, it's like, oh no, let go. I'm trying to grab it. It's like moving, you know, like those reels on Instagram when you go, this is something important. The thought is just, you said it and I felt it. It's like, nope, you can't grab hold of me. I'm like, get it, come back. Okay, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna just surrender.
Yeah. No, I feel like oh, go ahead, please.
No, you're my guest.
Oh, well, as you know, as I've been thinking spiritually, like lately, my partner has this amazing ability to sit with a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, especially during COVID, and just, you know, and every now and then I'll join in, and there's a feeling that happens when the piece clicks in and finds its place in this whole that's being created, but that was also already something.
Yes.
And I wonder about us. Like, I wonder if the creator, like we are part of this grand design that already was, and then part of creation was poof, like all the jigsaw puzzles just sort of went all over the place. And part of our walk is, listening inside for like not just our longing to find our pieces that we connect with and the bigger whole to be a part of that, but also like the way we find that.
Yes.
So not just that we long for it, but what we do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of what you said, and I have this image in my head. Most of the scriptures, the holy books, the Bible, for example, talks about God created man and woman and he called it good. And you took that puzzle pieces that you talk about. It's like I had this image, like God said, "Ooh, look what I did! This is amazing!" And God was getting so excited and just dropped it. Oops! Look what you made me do, Adam and Eve. I don't know how to put it together. I only thought of creation, and now we're helping God put it back together. And sometimes some part fits nicely, and we want to hold on.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta let go to go fit somewhere else, and it's a fluid thing. It's not static.
Yes, it is fluid. So this is what I love about our conversation. So I was going to say, but it's a living puzzle, right? It's not static. It's not like there's just one place that you fit with four things around you. It's like constantly becoming its most flourishing self, right? Yes. Hey, Karima.
Hey, Karima.
I love you too. Wow. Yeah. And so what if it's more like we're like this something beyond holographic, as a puzzle, and that quest to belong is just born in us. It is just in us, and it's part of our GPS, it's part of our compass, our guiding star, to find. And what does belonging feel like? Like, how do we know when we're belonging and it's life-giving? And how do we know when we're belonging, but it's costing us way too much?
Yes, that's the thought you said earlier. When belonging costs too much, how much have we having to give up in order to belong? And that speaks when you talk about how do we know when we belong. You and I have had this conversation about my journey. Being actually conceived in Germany, born in UK.
Okay.
I don't think I've told you that. Yes, conceived in Germany, and then 6 months later, my parents moved to UK. Born in UK, so the first 4 years of my life, I was in UK. I think maybe about 4 weeks or so, maybe 4 weeks, I was with a nanny, so I wasn't living with my mom and my dad. And then 2 weeks later, they yanked me away from her because she was giving me alcohol. She was putting me to sleep because I cried a lot when I was a child.
Oh, wow. You were already broadcasting.
Right.
It was the cry was already coming through you.
You know what? I'm writing my book, right? My memoir. And I had a conversation with my dad, and I wanted to ask him what he remembered about me being a child. And he talked about how I used to cry. Now, I had some other questions I was asking him, but as he was answering, he spoke to how I used to cry a lot as a baby. And my dad said something to me. He doesn't know how much it hit me because it hit me so big. He said, "So now I understand that when you were crying, you were communicating." I was like, wow. I was like, that hit me so hard. And he said, "Now look what you're doing now. Look at what you're doing now," he said. I never said anything to him because it hit me at the center of my heart. There was no protection. It just went straight from my heart. Right. And so when you just said what you said, that's what it reminded me of. And the thing is, I talk about being conceived in Germany and born in UK because that speaks to the elements of displacement to some extent. Now, that's a bad thing. Because where we're conceived mattered. It matters. What our parents were thinking and feeling matters. It's part of what shapes this physical body and our physical experience. And then, like I said, 4 weeks later, I was with a nanny. who would give me alcohol to shut me up. Like, you ain't going to be crying right here. I got some other kids. I'm going to get your ass drunk. My dad came and my mom, they came to visit, and there was no cell phone or WhatsApp or anything like that back then, or Facebook. So it showed up unannounced.
Yeah.
And my dad said he smelled alcohol in my breath. And he kind of whispered to my mom that we're taking him today. And basically, they took me that same day without saying they were leaving, because my dad, he's got a big heart. He said he didn't tell the nanny that he was taking me, but he just said they were going for a walk. I said, why didn't you tell her? He said, because I didn't want to get her upset and I didn't want her to mistreat the other children. So everything that they bought, my clothing and everything, they just left it.
I see.
And left.
Wow.
2 weeks later, I was with another nanny outside of London. And then at the age 4, moved to Nigeria.
Wow.
You know? So for me, this whole process of writing my memoir is I sort of see it as displacement and longing to belong. Where's home?
Yes.
Been gone from Nigeria now for such a long time that sometimes, as we've had that conversation as well, like, I've been gone for such a long time. Can I really call myself a Nigerian? You know, in my head. But I'm Nigerian. My parents are Nigerian. If I'm an orange seed and I was planted in Japan, I'm still going to be an orange. I'm still going to go into an orange. But intellectually or something, I don't know, feel like, can I really speak as a Nigerian? Then being back in UK, can I really speak as a British citizen? I was born here, but I haven't lived there that long. And then, of course, when I got to America, which felt more like home, I wasn't born here, but it feels like home. Yeah. So for me, all that to say that it gave me a taste of what it's like to feel unbelonging, where I don't belong. Yeah. Atlanta was the place when I felt like, oh, I belong. Yeah, this is home. As crazy as it might sound, but it was around the time when I was settling into it, was when America said, you need to go on a government retreat, and after your government retreat, you got to get the hell out of here. Yeah. So wait. And for me, when I think of that, I think of it really brought me to a place to say, where do I belong? And one of the things Spirit told me recently, because we talked about names, right? As well, another thing that's important is language. I left Nigeria in 1986. I understand the language. I can speak it for the most part, but because I don't speak it regularly, my brain and my teeth and my tongue sometimes don't always agree. Yeah. So I would just fall into English. Yes. Spirit was telling me now is start to speak the language again. I mean, there are people, I have my sister I can speak to. So there's a part of me that's uncomfortable. Like, I'm going to sound silly. But I know it. It just doesn't come out right sometimes. Yeah. So reclaiming that sense of belonging is through my language as well, which is a journey. It's a quest.
Yes. Oh, that's
one
deep.
way, the only way, right?
Yeah. That's deep. I relate to you in not having my home language. Like I don't, my parents were Okinawan and Japanese American growing up after Pearl Harbor. And so my dad's family was put in an internment camp for being of Japanese lineage. And so his generation taught my generation, or many of us don't speak the language and it was to belong. Isn't that a kick? Right?
It was like, you have to give up, right? What you're saying is that what we have to give up to belong.
Yeah, and I think that they did not stress us holding on to the mother tongue, probably out of trauma and to protect us from being otherized. And so, I remember like meeting some people and that you just sort of see people calculating you with their eyes before you even say anything. And then when I'm speaking like clear English, I see them recalculating again.
and then they go, where are you from? Oh, no, I can't ask that question. Not this day and age.
Yeah. I think, a wonderful question to carry around instead of like, where are you from? Might be like, where do you feel a sense of belonging?
Mm.
Or when do you feel that? You know, it may not
Where
be
and when?
it may not even be a geographical question, but when, you know, like I always think about that movie Chariots of Fire, and how the runner, you know, he's this missionary, but he's also a runner, and his like missionary sister saying, "How can you be trying for the Olympics?" You know, so it seems so vain when the world needs, you know, good news and compassion, and he's like, "No, you know, God made me many things, but He also made me fast." I don't really think of God as a He, but and when I run, I feel God's pleasure. So I think that may be a clue to either how we travel to belonging, or when we're doing God's pleasure in us, we like get to experience like, oh my God, I'm so connected up. I'm so like, I'm doing something where, feeling the pleasure of the divine in me feels related to belonging. I'm not quite sure how.
Which leads me to a question, really. What would you say to the times that we don't feel like we belong and there is a sort of impulse, wanting? I mean, I don't even know. We may say it's an impulse of feeling like we want to belong. It could be tied into feeling like we're not enough. And if I'm with this certain group, then I will feel like I'm enough. If I'm like my brother, my sister, or if I have this, if I have a good job, then I feel like I belong. What do you say to that feeling, that angst of belonging, not enough, that sometimes it just keeps pushing back? No matter how much you meditate, no matter how much you pray, it just keeps pushing. Just when you think like, next moment you're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm there. What would you say to people going through that?
You know, I would want to ask with them, or wonder with them, like, to where are you trying to belong? What are you trying to belong to that consistently gives you the message that you're not enough? Why are you returning there? You know, what is it about that thing that keeps telling you you're not enough? You know, that it's not the only thing you can belong to.
Right.
You know, so maybe like consider these other circles of belonging in your life. And I would say like that ache, that longing, that yearning
Hunger,
is, I feel like we come born with that a bit. Like, I wonder if it's our birthright to claim connection and belonging. As much as we need air, water, food, shelter, we have the right to want to belong.
Yeah.
And in a way that feeds our flourishing. And with community, with people, with creation, that draws more of our life out, rather than saying you're not enough. So if somebody kept bumping their head up against you're not enough, I would say, let's just redirect, you know, your gaze a little and where you're trying to belong, or maybe expand the picture a little bit, or give it some depth, because the fact is you are always enough. You were born enough.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest crime, like around these borders, the wall, the everything happening, right, with immigrants and migrants looking for a place to be located, and to tell someone else you don't belong is, I feel like, a spiritual crime.
It is.
The underpinning of that, right, is to say you are not wanted.
Yes, you don't belong.
And we are here because Spirit wanted us, because we are living wanting. You know, we are spirits wanting, like walking around. We are spirits desire walking around.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this. And, you know, those of you who are listening, I don't know, we may be going too deep. But that's what you got. and I would say the fact that you're here and you're listening to this conversation, you're right there. And we are going to talk about ways to practicalize this deep, if you want to call it that, ideas or not. Maybe we won't. Maybe this is what wants to be expressed. So feel free to share your questions. And if you're not on YouTube, the Being You podcast page or on my profile page, we may not see your question. So you want to make sure you're on the Being You podcast page or on YouTube, Life Conversations Media. So, Coach, let's check this out for an idea. Just check out this idea. You got your scuba diving gear on now. Right. I like that sound. That's awesome. The struggle, the challenge of not enough, and the sense of feeling like we don't belong, which I would call it unbelonging, is rooted in when we lost our identity. Now, here's what I'm saying. The egg and the sperm literally had to die, had to lose the identity of themselves to become something else. What if the sperm lost its identity by joining with the egg, and the egg lost its identity by joining with the sperm? So they become something different. So there's a longing to go back to the beginning. Crazy thought, but
wow, that's deep. Is this what you've been walking around with? This is amazing. Yeah, I do think. Yeah, what is it about? Transforming, being willing to be transformed into our deeper purpose. What do we need to be willing to release from an old sense of belonging to move the next sense of belonging? So I don't see it as moving from belonging to unbelonging, or, but more from like the older chapters, the older versions of belonging, which served our evolution at a certain purpose, right? In a certain way. And then what the transition is all about, moving to the next phase of belonging and what that's going to make possible for all of creation. And then when that is, so you're making me think too of once a while ago, many years ago, I did a show, where I was dancing with this projection of this whale, right, swimming in the waters. And I was like this shadow dancing with it. And the whales and certain mammals, dolphins too, I think, have this thing called echolocation, right? So I had broken down the piece into relocation, dislocation, and echolocation.
Oh, wow.
And so relocation is what we do to each other, right? It's the when we say you don't belong, or you're not enough, or you got to move here, or you can't live there, or whatever, you're not the right this, you're not the right that. And then dislocation, I feel like it's part social, but it's also deeply internal. It's almost like our soul jumps out of ourselves, right? To survive. And so there's a dislocation, a disconnect. Like, thank you, Linda, for naming the connection and disconnection in this dance. But then my hope lies in the inborn capacity to echolocate. So it's like whales go, and then their sound sonically bounces off of things underwater. And then when it bounces back to them, it tells them how close or not they are to their pod, or like if they're in a safe place or not. And I wonder what is that for humans? What are the ways that we try to find our pod? There's the pod we're born into, and then there are the pods that really help us to become our fullest selves. And what kind of clicks do we throw out there? And what does it sound like? How do we recognize, like, oh, I want more of this? And then what does it sound like when it's like, no, I need to stay away from that? So makes you wonder.
It does.
Wonder. And like our practice with interplay, right? We also take note of what's happening in the body.
Yes.
How does it feel like in our bodies when we truly belong and when we can be authentic
Yes.
in that belonging?
So what you just said, the echolocation in us is really coming back to our own body. So we get to feel the echo of our own thoughts. You know, like when we just kind of sit and we maybe it's really sit with the uncomfortability of feeling like I'm not enough or I don't belong, and feel what that feels like. And we may just get a signal from the wisdom keeper that's not in the physical body that says, why don't you just make room in your heart for not belonging? Why don't you make room in your body for feeling like you're not enough? Maybe there's some gifts in there too. Maybe there is something in feeling like not enough. Instead of looking at not enough as wrong or something is wrong or something's wrong with me, what if I sit with I'm not enough? I don't belong. I don't think I'm Nigerian enough now because I've been gone for a long time. Just sit with that. Is it true? Like Byron Katie would say, is it true that I'm not Nigerian enough? It's like, I'm Nigerian by default. Just listen.
Whoop, you're frozen up on me. Are you there? Am I
Your
here?
DNA test. That's just, yes. It was an echolocation. Our people were trying to find us. They'll interrupt the vibration.
Yeah.
But just what you're saying is, I feel like sending out that echolocation, because thoughts, we're either thinking thoughts or receiving thoughts. And if we sit long enough, if we give ourselves to just be and listen to the thoughts we try to quiet sometimes, we may just learn something about ourselves, right?
Yeah. I think if we really take note of whether something is helping us to feel at home in our lives, you know, yeah. And also, Ade, I love your reframing of I'm not home here, I'm not home there, I don't belong here. Like, what if we reframed it as like there are some people whose spiritual gift is to be so portable. Is to be portable, which is to be able to be anywhere and to find, you know, it's like a belonging in the travel, the belonging in en route.
Yes.
And so you're helping me realize, oh yeah, it is our own. We have to decide if this is a state of belonging or not. It's not for someone else to decide for us. You belong or you don't. They can say that forever, but whether we swallow it or not, you know, whether we believe it or not, that feels critical.
You spoke to something in me, and that's the thing when we really listen or really have someone, and I wish for listeners, people who are listening, whenever you're listening live or later on, that you have somebody that allows you to support you in going deep and even create a space to speak out loud the things that may be judged or criticized, but knowing you're in a place of love and supported. Because what you're saying, Coke, is when you say that some people are just portable, spiritual portable people. And I always take, what's the word? There's a word I'm looking for, but it's like I always say, I'm a global citizen. I'm a global citizen. I say so proudly.
Right.
But then when I'm feeling what that feels like sometimes, not all the time, then I see that as something wrong. So there's this sort of schizophrenic way of being. I'm a global citizen. I can live anywhere. I'm actually thinking of checking out Portugal and moving to Portugal. And I just love traveling. And I think it's important for us to slow down sometimes. And I think part of I don't know, but I'm going to say it this way. It may not be true, but I'm going to hold it to be true right now. Leslie and I were talking a few days ago, and I was talking about how when you think of spirituality, if you Google If you go on Google or YouTube and type yoga teacher, yoga, spiritual teacher, the first 2 pages, all you're going to see is white people. You know, you have to either say African American yoga teacher to see something different. And one of the things Leslie said back is like, yeah, it's this idea of colonizing spirituality. Like spirituality is such, it's been colonized that we think even on a spiritual path, there's the idea of something is wrong with me if I am not like them or like what they said. But there's also another part of it that knows that there's something about us that is inherently, intrinsically, beyond words, always good. And if we can live in a both and rather than either or, we can create space. One day I might feel like I don't belong. I may feel like I'm not enough.
Yeah.
But I can still like just allow that to be what it be.
Right.
And then eventually the next day, the next moment, I'm like, oh, I might even forget about it. But we do this either or, which is, for me, I feel like it's that part of where spirituality has been colonized and the ancient wisdom has been so, the juice has been squeezed out of it. It's now, oh boy, Kool-Aid spirituality.
Yes. And what did it get mixed up with? What is that water made of? You know, I mean, you're helping me. Thank you for naming colonization. It's like a big thing for me these days. And I feel like our original belonging is, as soon as we are born, we are part of creation.
We are part of creation.
We belong to creation. We belong to the divine, who, the source of all this. We already belong. And so colonization, it seems like the mission of colonization to call that into question, to sort of prop up its need for its institutions and its ways of being to continue. It feeds off of lack, right?
Yes.
So the more it can disconnect you from your original belonging, the more it feeds its own existence. So when we buy into that, we have to be careful, like, whose Kool-Aid are we drinking? You know, whose version of this spirituality am I inheriting? And I think colonization is, I don't know if I want to say anti, but it just feels like so many of its forces are about anti-creation belonging. You know, it is. Yeah. So it's about constantly needing to be something else in order to, right? Yeah, to own this, to believe this, to look like this, to be shaped like this, to have skin tone like this, to have a career like this, to have a degree like this, belief system like this. It's built, like colonization and capitalism for sure, built around, like a bet that you'll feel like you don't belong most of the time. So if you just do this, you'll be sufficient. And you already belong.
Right. And the more we convince ourselves that it's true or try to do things that confirm that lie, it's almost like if there was a destination, there isn't. The more we're far from that. Well, actually, I won't say destination because I don't even want to give that image. But the more we move away from ourselves, accepting the lie.
Yeah.
And because we are all piece, we are all part of a puzzle. And like you said, the what did you call it? The portable spirits, the global citizens.
Yeah.
And some of us who are supposed to buy a house and live on the same street for 50 years, the thought of it makes me want to gag. Like, what? You've been living here for what? Oh, go away from me. But for me, after 10 years, if that, I'm like, I want to try something different.
Yes.
What if we start to just allow all of it and not rush to the light and not run from the darkness or the emptiness and recognize that it all belongs, which is the walk, which is the journey, right? All of it belongs.
Yeah.
All of it belongs.
Yeah.
Now, we're sharing what I'm feeling, I feel like so elevated. I feel so high.
Mhm.
And I'm aware that, first of all, we're all at different levels of consciousness. And there might be somebody listening to this saying, yeah, that's all well and good, but I wake up with this every morning, every day. And I don't know if I'm coming, I'm going. I feel like I'm depressed. I feel like there's something wrong. And you guys don't understand. I hear what you're saying, but you don't understand me. There's something wrong here. As a spiritual director, the work you do supporting people to come back home to themselves, what would you say to somebody who is trying? Because it's not, I believe, it's not just not about, it's not finding a place to belong, but the importance of that inner belonging. And if it's external belonging, to have a reference, to not get so caught up in identifying with it. So back to my question.
Yeah.
What would you say? How would you support somebody who is like, I hear what you're saying, and when I listen to you, it makes my body vibrate. Oh, look, I got goosebumps, but I don't feel that. I still feel like something is wrong.
Right, right. I think it's a really, valuable practice to even write one's own, like in journaling, write one's own narrative
Mm,
of belonging or non-belonging, or the place of the non-belonging in the greater story, right? That it
mm,
has its place of belonging as well. Um, I would want to know, like, when did you fall away from
mm,
a sense that you either belonged or had a right to
mm,
belong?
mm,
How did that happen? Let's take a look at when something got disconnected there, and to kind of take a look at the real. There's so many social forces, right? Like we were just talking about,
mm,
um, that that work to convince us that we don't belong.
mm,
So I would also take them back to what I was saying before. I think our echolocator as humans is pleasure,
yes,
is joy, is
yes,
desire, is love. So
yes,
what are the humble things,
mm,
um, that bring those things back into our lives? And interplay we would say grace and ease, right?
yes,
But how do we almost find our way back home again? Or
yes.
no, forward home. It's behind us, but it's also in front of us, and it's
That's it. Yes.
never evolving thing. So when do you feel most at home?
Mm,
What is going on inside yourself in those moments?
mm,
What are your surroundings like? What is your calendar like? You
mm,
know, what is your experience of time and space and connection like when you feel most at home in yourself?
yeah.
Um, yeah. And what can we say about these voices that,
There are many voices in our head.
yeah, about all those voices that say not enough, can't
Mhm,
belong, won't belong. And we spiritually need to call those out
mhm,
as voices of falsehood, as
mhm.
voices
Yes.
of the misrooted, misguided lie, um,
Mhm.
and to really ground in our true, our authentic self is that as soon as we're born we belong. you know so how to like follow the breadcrumbs to retrieve that? How do
Yes.
we retrieve that for ourselves? And I do feel we are made up of like clue we are like a clue recognition system, you know
Mhm,
of what
mhm,
brings us closer to grace and ease,
mhm.
comfort at home, authenticity, deeper breaths in our lives, what brings us back into love, and what draws us away. So
Yeah.
I think, practically speaking, just looking at that kind of, an interplay, we would say data or body
Yeah.
data, body spirit data.
Mm,
It could be, getting your daily walk. It
mhm,
could
mm,
be a 5-minute journaling each day helps you click back into place to hear
Click,
yourself.
click,
Yeah.
like a dolphin, right?
Right? Like puzzle pieces.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm interested, since you have been like lived and raised in so many places, how do you experience, your own sense of belonging from the most intrapersonal, like at the depths of your own soul, all the way out to social, to the divine, infinite,
I love what's happening here on an energetic level, because there's some things I was thinking a thought earlier and you spoke to it, and then I thought another thing, spoke to it, and then now your question is having me speak to the question I was going to ask you.
That's how we do it all day.
Yes. I'm like, okay. I'm supposed to speak on that. As you were talking, we started off towards the beginning of the show. I said a gift is nothing until you're willing to give it away, right? And you said yes, and until you're willing to receive it. And I was thinking, wow, I was just thinking about it. I was thinking of that being the echolocation, the gift. Our gift is the echo that we send out. Now, one thing that's been consistent for me, and I'm going to tie it all in somehow, is when I left Nigeria in 1986, I was almost 18. There was something in me. I didn't have a definition for it. So living here in UK was kind of like still trying to find my way. It wasn't until I got to America that I was beginning to kind of peek through a room where my gift was stored. It's like, you can't go in here, but you can look. I'm like, that looks like a good gift. But the willingness to excavate, to write, to journal, to pray, to meditate, to do the spiritual work is what connected me with that gift. And that's one thing that keeps me grounded. And I've always said for a long time now that wherever I go in the world, I can always work, because I am my work. I am. So this idea of where I found belonging, even during my 40 days and 40 night detention experience, I was still me.
Yes.
And, I would have conversations with some of the brothers in there. And sometimes I'm just thinking I'm having a general conversation. And I remember one of them said, "Whoa, we just went deep there, brother. You just went deep." I'm like, deep? I haven't even started yet. I'm just having a general conversation with you. And it's knowing that I'm a teacher, knowing that I am part of something more. I'm an artist. I collect stories and I tell stories. And I've never really thought about it like this. It's actually one of the things that got me through that experience. So the work I was doing in America, the work I was doing in the detention experience, and the work that I'm doing, it's the same. It's just more magnified now. That's kept me belonging, because I feel like this is something I have to give. This is something I have to offer, and I receive it. I can affirm it. I can brag about it. Not brag in the sense of I'm better than you, but speak it. This is what I'm good at. This is why I'm here. So when we talk about the external belonging, being back in UK, that's something I had to work a little bit on, because in UK has always been a place where I feel like it's UK, whatever. I don't care too much for it. But I have come to understand and realize that I needed to heal my relationship with this country, my birthplace, the land that we're born in. If we have sort of adverse relationship with where we were born, it creates something unpleasant in us.
Wow.
So that awareness to start to heal, to start back then, whenever it was, a year ago, a year and a half or whatever, because the first few months I was not interested in healing my relationship with this country.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed up to be even more authentic or transparent. Is I remember being at a store and I heard the spirit voice. I was the only Black person in there, which I really didn't even think I was consciously thinking about it. And suddenly I was surrounded by white people and I heard the spirit voice, you don't like white people. And it was specifics, like the British people, white British, you don't like them. And I was like, whoa, what? No, not me. I'm a life coach, teaching love and compassion and one. But there was something about that spirit voice. When he speaks, we know.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how that happened or when it happened. I know that the first 4 years of my life, most of the first 4 years of my life was in a town where maybe it was me and maybe I probably can count out black people that were in that place. My nanny was a white woman.
Right.
And my dad, my mom, my parents, they had their own experience of racism. Now, maybe that rubbed off energetically. I don't know. But when I heard the spirit voice, it was clear. So I had to work with that. I had to work with how can you say you're against white supremacy while you do not like white people? It's the same thing. So that's been part of my work, to see white people in this country as an extension of me, as not just brothers and sisters, but we're connected. And whatever thought I'm sending out there, I'm sending it out there. So that has helped me, because I still find myself every night, well, actually, maybe not so now, but maybe about the last 4 months, I feel quite, maybe 6 months, settled in UK. But for the first year or so, my buddy was here. I'm working on my computer in UK, but my mind was in Atlanta. Atlanta, Georgia was like home. My laptop, this is on Atlanta time. It still is for 2 years. So I still have a connection, and I've had to make peace with that rather than listen to the voices like, how can you claim Atlanta as your home when you weren't even born there? This is where you were born. You know, all that crap. But now it's just, I literally allow the voices to burn themselves out, to tie themselves out of the talk, because it's really just stuff that I've made up, that I created to other myself, because I'm trying to protect myself, because I felt like I was different. So if I make somebody wrong, or if I feel like I don't belong there, this is why, then I feel protected. But if I give myself permission to say, I belong to everyone, to everything, I belong to nothing, that's like putting my guards down. It's like, I belong to him. Me? Wait for this. You mean I belong to Donald Trump? Oh, okay, hold on a minute. You know, it's like, it's the same. So the things that really cause me to feel like maybe better or wanting to be better is I've allowed more of that. So internally, it is my gift of teaching, of healing, of creating, of writing is what keeps me grounded. I belong. You know, even if I'm feeling that, I start journaling, it brings me back. It may just bring me to a place of accept the feeling of unbelonging, not belonging. Accept, just let it be. Don't force it. Don't try to affirm it away. Don't try to come up with a chant. Just be with it. Be with not feeling enough. And in there, something else. So for me, I know it's a long way to answer your question, but that's the best way I can say it.
Oh, my brother, there was so much in there. So much in there. Hey, Shoyinka.
Yes.
People love Shoyinka.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I heard like you can find home and beloved belonging as long as you have your practices that allow for whatever is.
Yes.
Right. And that I also heard a day that something about making a contribution helps us feel like we have a relationship between like purpose, contribution, and belonging. Gifts.
Echolocation. When you make a contribution.
Out. Yeah, letting them bounce back, shape where your next step is going to go, right? And whew.
Mm.
and reckoning with your birthplace.
Yes.
I think I'm doing that too. I mean, I've only lived in one country, but it
Mm.
was the country that, incarcerated my ancestors for being
Just
who we are.
just because of who they are, who they were.
Yes,
That's it.
simply
No
that. Yeah.
crime.
Mhm.
No crime.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so this is interesting. I even think that they were incarcerated not just because of being who they were, but
Mm-hmm.
because they were thriving. They were
Mm.
generating crops and the farmland was getting rich. So it was also a land grab. But the message to me, I'm wondering aloud with you, is a message that I got energetically like, not only are you, because just of who you are, don't really belong, but when you do well, you're in danger.
Mm. Yes.
Watch it, like don't take up too much space. Don't make anything too beautiful. Don't produce any, because that will make you stand out and for
Bring
the folks
attention.
bring
Yes.
attention, and you will be made to know you do not belong.
Mhm.
And it's a lie, because really somebody's just wanting what you've done, right?
That's it.
Somebody's just
That's it.
wanting to appropriate you. So we go all over the place, huh?
And that's what belonging is about. We got to go all over the place to find ourselves, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing that like I really appreciated what you said, like Trump. Do I belong? Do we belong to each other? And I used to wonder about this, like even with George W. Bush, I had an easier time thinking like he is one of ours. He's a wayward child. He is that wayward child.
Mhm.
And we need to bring him home and, teach him, like re-raise him. And I have a harder time saying that with number 45 who's in there, but it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Like by me not saying, well, he's really that kid who we really need to bring home and like really train up again.
That needs to be hooked and held till
Yeah,
love gets uncomfortable. That's
yeah,
kind of how I see it. I
yeah.
don't know his story, but that's how I see it. And I also feel to kind of globalize it or take it to universalize it. Yes, I'm making that a word if it's not. What we what we can't be with or who we can't be with rub against a part of us that we can't be with. And in a sense that if I am that person, I can open my heart to me being like that.
Ah,
There's no way I would allow myself to do that. And sometimes that might be exactly what we need to break out of the mold.
wow.
So our judgment of being fully self-expressed and worry that if I really shine, it's going to intimidate others. So I rather stay small can sometimes be the problem. Not the people who we call haters.
Yeah.
They say haters gonna hate. Sometimes the haters myself.
Yeah.
Up until this point, I don't always listen. Well, very rarely do I listen to my shows. I listen to if I need to do an edit. I'm getting more gentle with myself because when I listen to my shows, I'm constantly thinking about what I said, how I said it, if I didn't finish a thought, if I didn't answer a question, or and then in my own head, I'm like, shut the fuck up. So I save myself by not sometimes like, nope, can't listen to it. But every now and then, I will allow myself to listen, to see. And I was actually listening to a show today, and I was cracking up at my own jokes. And I'm just like, this is crazy, which is a plus for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. You're so helping me realize, like, how do we, like, we exceed who we think we are, right? And so how do we make a hospitable home for ourselves to belong in? How do I, Coke, make my body spirit a loving home for me to dwell and thrive and be affirmed And, I'm really bad at that. I think, I don't know if when you were coming up, if there was a show called I Dream of Jeannie. Did you ever hear it? Yeah, it kind of has all kinds of problematics about it. But the one thing that I'm taking away from that is that she had like her bottle to go into, right? And it was just it was sofa all around and like scars and just beauty. And she had that like place to go into to tend and to be fully herself. And when she got out of the bottle, she was kind of belonging, not belonging, like her rules didn't always fit. So I just also, the spiritual director in me would also want to like help folks cultivate, like, how do you create that place in yourself?
Yeah.
How do I create that in myself so that, and that it's such a radically loving place that when the little Donald Trump in me shows up, like I say, come here, we need to kind of soothe this. What are the under the 12 layers of this BS,
Yes.
Yeah. And how do we build that kind of place right here within ourselves? And I feel like the beauty of your portability is that you don't seem to lose that wherever life puts you. Like you bring your practices, you bring this need to contribute, you bring this need to wonder, you bring the ancestors, you bring, your own belonging with you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of us, including myself, have a lot to learn from you, because our own our willingness to internalize.
You said that, like, whoa, really?
Oh yeah. No, like, gosh. What's the soap emoji?
Yeah, that's my friend. Every time I swear, she's like, I'm gonna wash your mouth out. So she's looking for a soap emoji to wash my mouth out.
Is that New Jace? I can't read the
New Jace. Her name is New Jace. Her name is Jackie. She's in New Jersey.
Jackie, so, I did get my mouth washed out with soap once when I was a little girl.
For real?
Oh yes, my mother. We were visiting with some friends, and I was not feeling it, not wanting to go. I was wanting just to, I think, be my own person and stay home. And they all, pressure to go do this thing, and suddenly all these horrible words came out of my mouth.
No, true words. The words you were feeling came out your mouth.
Yes, my cry came out, and that bar of Ivory soap went in. And it just my mother washed my mouth out with soap right in our host's house. So, yeah. That.
Now I used to think that was just something people said. I didn't know it's things that people did. So thank you. Did it work?
Oh no. Anyone who's close to me knows. Oh no. I mean, I've even had a man come up to me saying, "Did your mother teach you how to speak like that?"
You should have looked at him and said, "Shut the fuck up."
I mean, he was disrespecting my uncle, and one thing you don't do to me is disrespect my elders, because I will. I will forget I am 5 foot and you are 6'6". Okay, I will forget that, and I will belong myself up in front of you.
Even that, it's this whole thing about belonging. And New Jace, thank you for taking us here. I use those words every now and then, but there was a time where I felt like, how can I say I'm a spiritual teacher, a life coach, and I swear? I really struggled with that.
Oh.
And I had some process. I had a mentor who really, just by watching the mentor, is what helped me really relax. I don't just throw it around. Now, people may think I just throw it around, but I don't throw it around. I'm aware when I'm doing it. And I had to find my freedom in that.
Yes.
I know that some people are going to find it uncomfortable. Hell, I find it uncomfortable if I'm watching a movie and it's just constant. I'm like, okay, enough. I'm getting distracted. But it's like sometimes we just have to find peace with what the world can't be at peace with
Right.
for our own liberation.
Right.
We just have to, you know.
And the truth needs to come out as it needs to come out.
Exactly.
You know, it just needs to happen. And I don't know that that's where I was as a little girl, but I do know that there are times when, you know, as a spiritual person, nothing is more suitable than the F word, because
It's
it just
freeing, it's liberating.
is so. It is so. And it's more than that. But in that moment, you know, I can't get to the more of it unless I let that part, that truth be told. And I, you know, sometimes I think by saying that, who am I helping to set at ease? Because they sense something's wrong too. Something's effed up.
Yeah.
So I want to share with you a spiritual figure in my life is this goddess or Saint Effie. My
Saint
friend is she's both Anne. She is this like candle of the divine feminine, and her name is Saint Effie, the divine feminine of. She's the patron saint of give me an effing break.
see, you could have made money doing that.
So even this belongs, right? This belongs. So
yes.
And big hats off to Heather Barrett up in Spokane, the artist of this. Heather Barrett, she's the one. Sell the stickers, buy the candles, give them as gifts. Amen.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It is about freeing ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things that's coming up from this conversation for me. So one, have you ever heard watch the video on YouTube called the Fuck It meditation?
No, I don't think I have. Or have
I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
Oh my God. It is funny. It is, but fuck it. It's a therapy, man. Sometimes when you just say fuck it, it's like, I'm done. I release. I let go. I can't keep holding on to this anymore.
Yes.
And under that colonized perspective of spirituality, we fool ourselves into believing that we got to be pure and be a light worker. And I won't swear, but stop that. Because a spiritual path is really accepting it all. Like being able to see it all for what it is. It's not always going to be comfortable. Now, being spiritual doesn't mean you go around swearing. If that's your thing, so be it. If it's not, so be it. But we have to be careful about thinking one thing is better than another. Because when we do that, we other ourselves. And then we don't know where we belong. But if we could make room, we may not like it, but we can say, that's what they're doing. It's not my thing. Ooh, we've been on a journey. And I want to also say this. I was talking about the meditation. Sorry. Listeners, there is a book called Belonging, Remembering Ourselves Home by Toko Turner. Her first name is Toko-PA Turner. Great book on belonging. And because she brings it from a place of dream, she brings it from a place of the sensitive space, the what you call the invisible parts of ourselves, and how we struggled and how life ostracizes us, kicks us out of the community, and we have to find ourselves. There are many tools out there, and I feel like feeling like we don't belong, or feeling like we're not enough, feeling like there's something wrong with us, that actually tools to help us on our spiritual journey, as opposed to something being wrong. Because if we stay with it long enough, we will see the light in that darkness. You know?
Yeah. So that it sounds like a helpful thing is to find the support to sit with that. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it can overwhelm us if we try to do that by ourselves, but to have a companion, to have community, or at least
to have a coach that does that, because you've done that for me. I'm not even joking. I'm telling you, our first conversation, I've always told you, it was, Interplay would do this thing called gibberish, and he brought up all kind of stuff. I mean, really hard stuff. I was like, I can't do gibberish. I still don't like it. I always say that. But you help me understand what I can understand. You just without trying to say, well, let's talk about this. Well, take a deep breath. You didn't do all of that. You just kind of shared the thought that was present for you. It's important to have somebody, at least one person that can allow us to just speak our truth.
Yes, who says, you know, you are completely spiritually sane to be feeling WTF.
Yes.
Like you are, I am with you. You are, there is nothing wrong. It's the world that is off kilter right now.
Yes.
And, you know, there is something rising up in you and you don't want to belong to that.
Right.
You want to belong to that thing in you that is saying, And every no is an inside out yes, right? So when we're saying like what is that affirmation beneath that? Yes. What is that thing we are saying yes to in life, no matter what?
No matter what.
And you helped me kind of wonder about the relationship between inclusion and belonging. Like what we can or can't include or what we exclude in our lives and our own ability to belong within. So thank you just for expanding that we need to update our own internal like operating systems, right? Around what we think our capacity is, because our capacity is much more than we've been taught.
So much more than what we can think, more than what we are thinking conscious. Is so much more. I love that. Actually, I'm glad you pointed that out because I didn't even, inclusivity and belonging. And
it's not only so one of my faith traditions is a follower of Christ, and so I always consider Christ like this radical, insistently radical rememberer. So took the social margins, right? Said, nah, y'all don't be in the margins. You are the center. But then he also dealt with individuals, and it's almost like he could see through us, saying, oh, I see what you're a part of yourself. You're pushing to the margins of your own self. Bring that part back. Love it up. Ask what the cry is about. Right? Ask what that is saying, right?
Yes.
Belong. Create a place for it to belong. See the gift that it's bringing to you, right?
Ask the cry, because I thought of a baby. When a baby is crying, most of us that are feeling grounded and complete, when a child is crying, we want to know what is wrong, what is happening, why is this child crying?
Right.
But if we don't allow ourselves to hear our own cry, we are disowning, we're dislocating ourselves.
Yeah.
But just be with the cry.
Yes. So I feel like that's my Christ. Like he was not only about external margins, he was about internal margins.
Yes.
Internal radical inclusivity. Where everything belongs, right?
Everything.
And when everything belongs here, then what does it do with our relationships and,
Indeed.
what we know to be true outside of our skin? I love Tina. Tina said you are my fucking tribe. Thank you, Tina. It's nice to meet you, Tina. Me too. She says, Iyanla taught us a fucking coaching principle I now teach. I love it. I would love to know more about that coaching.
Yes. Because even that, the swearing, cursing, whatever you want to call it, is pushing against society's norm. Like, you don't get to define how I communicate.
Right.
I get to decide the words I use.
Yeah.
I understand that some of you don't like it. Fuck you. But I'm speaking.
It's my truth in this moment. Yeah, I am sorry if it harms you, but I need to be true to me too. It's a both and, right? So I don't put it out there to harm you, but I can't express it any other way.
I need to express myself because my heart needs me too. There's too much that I'm carrying.
Yeah.
And this is speaking to something that I'm really wrestling with. I don't know if I'm wrestling with it, contemplating. And I said at the beginning, when we talk about creating a world that works for everyone. When I first heard it, I felt the vibration of that statement. But the more I'm sitting with it and allowing myself to embody, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. A world that works for everyone? Hold on a minute. I don't think I'm ready. Because that's no joke. A world that works for everyone.
Right.
That's a higher call.
No exceptions. The no exceptions part is my stumbling block, because I know people right away like, no.
I'm right there with you.
Right. You know.
Yeah.
Create a world where everyone belongs.
It's all about grace. Because we may never get to the point where everybody's included, but if we can be graceful, if we can allow ourselves some grace and understanding that in this physical body, we're going to have judgments, we're going to have criticism, we're going to compare. But can I be compassionate? Can I not judge myself for being judgmental?
Right. Yeah. Can everything have a place? Can everything have a place? Yeah. Can we create a world that works for everybody, but can we also create a body spirit that works for all parts of ourselves? You know, and you're not going to find that support for that in colonizing or capitalizing mentalities, but luckily there are so many alternatives. And you know,
yes. I have so enjoyed this soul food with you.
Oh man, Ade, I think I took you over time. I'm so sorry. I was blabbing on and on.
You don't even have to apologize. I'm telling you, I'm making myself bring this conversation to the end because I keep talking. So I'm grateful that you don't have to leave. But it's like, okay, Ghana, you got to honor the agreement with her. So no, there's nothing to apologize for. This is what I do, and I have. This has been so nourishing to me on so many levels because the conversation about belonging is something that I'm very passionate about. Yeah. And as I write my book, I'm facing it, and there's stories that I haven't quite written yet, but they're waiting to be written, and I'm confronted with what will people say, how will they look at me. Some of the stories is part of what happened within Interplay. Oh my God, all these people that know me, they read the book. So it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm not ready to write that story yet. So as I this conversation is just kind of, it's like a loving grandmother, a reminder of ancient truth that my story is valid. Our stories are valid. And it is up to us to tell the story, to share our gifts and receive our gifts. Because in there, we get to find where we belong. Yeah. We belong with and to our gifts. That's what brings us back home.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could do this. I could do this 24 hours, just having this conversation. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Like I said. Yeah. And I just know that when we create that for ourselves, the energy we put out creates more of that, you know, possibility for other people too.
It gets bigger.
Yeah.
And someone has the courage to heal. They have a courage to face themselves because of the work that we're doing here. Someone else finds the courage to feel like, you know what? I feel like I'm not enough, but I'm listening to Coconut Day. I'm just going to see what that has for me. You know, they have a courage to keep moving forward or just to stop. Because we don't always have to move forward. Sometimes we just have to sit our behind down and like, okay, what do you have for me? I'm afraid of silence. I know why, but you're going to start telling me what I'm afraid of. Okay, my gift. Yes, I know I'm supposed to. Yep, I know. And in that place of surrender, we may find ourselves saying, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of losing my sense of belonging because I'm aligning with my light. I'm afraid of maybe I want people that I belong to will ostracize me or other me because now I'm following this gift that you're reminding me of.
Yes. You're reminding me of the sperm and the egg, being afraid of losing old form, but a whole life comes out of
a whole new life.
A whole new life. So blessings on your book. Yeah, blessings on mine. Boy, that is just that's just like I don't know. There, I could do a whole other show with you, Ade. I'm like, what? It's taking 20 years for this thing to give birth. But anywho, yeah.
I love you.
I love you too so much.
Thank you so much. And I thank you. Thank you for your courage, your confidence. I thank you for saying yes to the voice. I don't know what the process is like for you, But what I know is when the voice that is speaking through you comes out of you, it's gentle, it's compassionate, and it's soothing, it's healing for me. And I am so grateful to call you my friend.
Thank you so much for this time on your beautiful platform. And thank you to listeners and now past, present, and future for contributing to the juice of this. I've never done this before, so thank you for introducing me to the world of podcasts. I'm
your
so
first.
embarrassed.
I'm your first.
You have my
You're
first.
no longer a virgin anymore.
I'm not a podcast virgin anymore. There's no one else I would have loved to have lost it to, my brother.
It is my pleasure. I am humbled to share this sacred moment with you.
Wow.
Yes, it's definitely been a creative experience for me. And someone said, Tina said, yes, a part 2. Yeah, we'll do a part 2. We'll do a part 2. So, anything you want to share with us?
Yes, thank you so much. It feels scary and exciting, as it should, right?
I hope I was gentle with you. At least I got your consent, right?
Yes, you sure did.
All right, I think we need to stop.
I think so too.
We're getting out of hand now. Some people can't handle this.
I know. Thank
so
you, siblings.
You work with people in supporting them in coming back home. What's the best way for people to reach you for your services and just anything else that you want to share? This is your moment.
Okay, thanks. Well, I'm embarrassed to say I do have a website. It needs some updating for sure, but at least visit there and you can see who I was up to 5 years ago. I'm going to update it in the next couple of months. And then the best way to reach me is a simple email address. It's like you're writing me a postcard, Dear Coke. So it's just dearcoke@gmail.com. And I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear your wisdom on belonging. So grateful, Ade, for you as the catalyst and conversation partner. And frankly, I feel like when we laugh and are having our truth, we're also in prayer. So I also feel like you're a prayer partner for me too.
Yes.
In a really awesome way. So thank you.
Feeling is mutual. And I got to say this too, really. I got to say this. Anyway, you have played a major role in me arriving to where I'm at today. Particularly integrating the being Nigerian, British, and American. That just how I feel about it. Just our conversation. It opened my heart up to make room for it all. And I remember when it happened. And so thank you for supporting me on my journey.
I love all of you.
Thank
all
you.
of you. Yeah. I look forward to learning about more.
Yes.
Yeah.
We definitely gonna do part 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6 and a 7 and until folks say, okay, enough already. Let's get a bit more creative and do something else. I love you, my dear.
I love you too. Thank you, siblings, for tuning in.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Blessings.
Yes, check out Coke's website. It is Coke Tani, C-O-K-E Tani. Yeah, thank you. There you go. C-O-K-E T-A. What? Tani.com. I'm drunk with love and life. I'm high. I'm buzzing. This is a vibe. Leslie's wearing on a t-shirt says vibes. I feel the vibes. There's not much that needs to be said. I just want to thank all of you for tuning in, and I affirm that something was said activated the best in you, helped you recognize, maybe became an answered prayer or shift your perspective, or maybe you had an aha moment that made you go, oh, that's what it is. I'm trusting that this conversation brought you back to yourself. It brought you back home. Home is truly where the heart is. And when you're home, you would know it. When you're home, there's nothing to clean. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to adjust. You come as you are. And if you're on your way home, I just share these words of wisdom with you. The best way to make it home is to stand out. Whether people are afraid of your light is irrelevant. That's none of your business. Stand out. Because until you learn, until you're willing to allow yourself to stand out, you can't fit in. You must be willing to stand out in order to fit in. And you're here to stand out. And you were born, created for such a time as this. Thank you, beautiful people. Thank you for tuning in. All of you, wherever you are in the world, do share the show. Listen again. Like and share the Being You podcast page. And if you know somebody, maybe it's you, and you think it would be good for this kind of conversation, there's not afraid to it's not afraid to swear if it calls for it. No, just kidding. But somebody who you just feel like is heart-centered and you find them to be very grounded, refer them to us. You can go to my website. I won't put my email address out because I get enough spam already. But go to my website, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com, and suggest them. If you're creating some magic in the world, maybe you've had some epiphany, especially during this time of quiet, of healing, of transformation, and you have a story. Hey, let's see if this is the right place. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you, and I thank God for you. If you want to deepen this experience and you want to integrate it, lifecoachade.com. I am here to support you. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you on the first day. You get an A+. You did it quite well. Send Leslie my love, or your love. I'm going to get out of here so I can go and say goodbye to my sister. Not goodbye. See you later. Just have a closing chat with her. Take this consciousness and multiply it. And I will see you next week. Peace and blessings, people. Be blessed. Yeah, that feels